Really,
Well,
you know, I wonder what causes that.
I don't know, but
that's a good question, that is. You know, we'll have to think about this later.
Well, I find garlic's a very good aid for purifying the blood, cleans out the system, and I like it. But if you do it in excess, it will scour them. I find that garlic, used insensibly, will purge them.
Well, I think every fancier does that.
Yes, I would think most fanciers, from people who've learned me, and let's be honest, we all learn a bit off each other. They don't feed them before they lose them out, so that's something I do.
Well, it's very nice to hear, I think the birds are doing you proud.
Well, one does try, but as you're well aware, it's hard work. Find out if there's a local club in your area, a roller club. Get in touch with the secretary perhaps. Find out if you can meet some of the fanciers. Go and see the birds. If you intend to keep them, perhaps buy a few flyers only. I wouldn't buy rollers in the first year because I think that'd be too much to handle. I think for the first 6 months or 12 months, flyers only.
A gradual work.
A gradual process to building up. And then if you intend to stick with them, perhaps after 12 months to 2 years, then go into the deeper rollers. Push. Push. You get that?
I should say so.
Good. Whoa, got that one. Secretary of the Midland Roller Pigeon Club since its formation, which I believe is 28 years. Is that correct, Tony?
Yes.
Is that right, Bill?
Yes, the Midland Roller Pigeon Club was formed first in 1960. I was first elected secretary, and I've been secretary of the club ever since.
Right.
28 years.
Prior to this, how long had you had Birmingham Rollers?
I've always had rollers. I've always had pigeons. Basically, my first introduction to Birmingham Rollers came in around about 1943 when I first met Bill Penson. And I would say the family of pigeons that I'm working with now,
which are these here?
At that particular time, and way back in 1943.
What was it like in those days, Bill, in the 40s, many years back?
I can't hear what he said.
1943 on, with the Rollers.
Well, in 43, the war was still on. In 1943, with the war still being on, pigeon food was hard to come by. The only people allowed to get feed for the pigeons, honestly, was the people that was producing racing pigeons for the government. The roller pigeon fancy, they were in the minority in those days. There were a lot of flying tumblers about, but the roller pigeon fancy had no access to honest feed at all. They could only feed their pigeons by virtue of going into the black market, buying black market coupons, and in return from those coupons plus money they would be able to purchase lentils, grey peas, cut barley, and
so in effect it was a lot harder in those days for you and the birds?
There wasn't many pigeons flying in those days because primarily a lot of the pigeon flies of the 1939-40 era was now called up and in the services, and they had to kill off the pigeons before they went to the army.
That's it.
Original stock birds, I would say, started way back in 43 with birds from Bill Pensome, and in a turn Bill Pensome introduced us to Skidmore. Jim Skidmore, the Blackheater, was primarily an outstanding roller flier of his day. We were able to get a few birds from Skidmore, and then Around about 1947, I purchased a red rose-wing hen from a fellow by the name of Bloomer in the Black Country. This was probably the pick of his loft, and he fed a kit of around about 80 pigeons. And I paid 12 shillings and sixpence, which was probably half a week's wages in those days. And around about 1951, I had an outstanding mottled cock from a fellow by the name of Beardsmore in Walsall. This was again the pick of his pigeons, and this wasn't purchased, this pigeon was given to me. You couldn't really put a price on this pigeon because it was such an outstanding pigeon of his day. He stayed with me till he was 17 years of age and he died at my place. Consequently, my birds revolved round Skidmore pigeons, Pensome pigeons, the red rose-wing wren from Bloomer, and the black mottled cock from Arthur Beardsmore. Also, in 1966, I visited Bill Pensome in California, America, and I brought back 14 rollers from Bill Pensome in California. As you're aware, I met Bill in '43, and he was my pal until he passed away in 1968.
This man you mentioned earlier, Skidmore, there doesn't seem to be a lot said or written about him. Is he overshadowed?
You want to talk about Skidmore?
Well, was he living in the shadow of Pensome, in effect, or was he?
No. Skidmore, in his own right, was one of the outstanding roller flyers of the 1930s and 1940s, I would imagine anyway. So Skidmore and Pensome were pals. Yeah. And the two people they spoke of mostly of where they got their pigeons from. First, Skidmore, most of his pigeons, well, all of his pigeons, I think, came from Belfield. Belfield lived in Cradley Heath. Belfield could neither read nor write, but they had a pub where they brewed their own beer. I'm told that Belfield flew one of the most outstanding kids that ever was seen in the Black Country. I didn't meet the man, but I've heard that he died around about the late 1930s. But Skidmore flew his pigeons and he had a very high regard for Belfield.
Okay, thank you. Today's 1943 and the years you spoke of. Do you think there are better pigeons about? In all honesty, your opinion.
We have much better pigeons today than what we did have 45 years ago.
You think that?
There are more good fanciers about today and there are more pigeons to choose from. There's a lot of good kits around the country. Bill Pensome and I spoke at great length way back in 1966. Bill, about the preceding 20 or 30 years that he'd associated with the roller fancy, telling me how much progress they'd made over those previous 20 or 25 years. And I feel sure that Bill died in 68, that's 20 years ago. I feel sure if Bill was alive today, he'd be very happy with the progress we've made in the last 20 years. We have made quite a lot of progress.
What about the critics of Pensome, those who claimed he brought pigeons in just strictly for commercial gains?
Criticism of Bill
Pensome, the critics of him.
A successful man will always have his critics.
Yeah.
And the critics base most of their arguments on jealousy. Bill Pensome was one of the finest, I would say, finest roller man that ever lived. Because he was my personal friend for 25 years. He was a great person. He was the one that went into the Black Country on his push bike from his home in Harborne way back in the 1920s and 30s. He recognised the Birmingham rollers and the excitement they could cause in the air. Not only did he write at great length wonderful articles how to produce better rollers and fly better rollers, he also taught the Black Country people how to produce more good rollers, how to make use of their best pigeons. Because in the 1930s and even in the 40s when I remember it, a lot of the Black Country people, they flew rollers, but they had no idea just how to get the best out of the pigeons and how to breed around the very best pigeons. Okay. Now one particular fancier who had got his act together, his name was Wires, lived in Stourbridge.
What year was this? What years are you talking about?
Well, we met Albert Wires through Bill Pensome. Wires and Bill Pensome were very big friends. Now, Wires couldn't read or write. He had a kit of approximately 60 pigeons. Now, I'll give you some idea of Wires' pet, or loft, as they call them in these days. He got 4 uprights, and he dug 4 holes, put 4 uprights in, now some wood, corrugated sheets and plywood around it and formed his own pigeon loft with a soil floor.
It's a bit rough, isn't it?
It was a bit rough, but there was a lot of rough pigeon pens in them days.
Pigeon
but
pens.
These people got a certain knowledge. They got the necessary creative ability to recognise quality and how to get the best out of them. Now, although Albert had got no academic qualifications, around Albert's garden was little coops, such as little rabbit coops. Now, in February time, Albert was aware of his best pigeons. And what he used to do, he used to mate his best pigeons up and put one pair into each coop. Consequently, Albert was aware that whatever come out of that coop was out of those particular pigeons.
So in effect, he was guaranteeing the parentage.
No opportunity of mishappens or such as when you breed on a large scale, any cock mating with a hen.
So he guaranteed the parentage?
Yes.
That's
He,
right.
in effect, was practicing pedigree breeding, although he didn't really know how to put pen to paper.
All right, quite a few times, I mean, in fact.
Well, I've been to America 8 times, and 4 of those times incorporated a trip to Canada and America.
Yeah. Well, out there, they're quite assumed to be pensum enthusiasts. Tell me, how do their pigeons rate with the British birds, in your opinion?
Well, there's quite a lot of enthusiastic fanciers over there,
Yeah.
and a lot hold Bill Pensum in very high regard.
Yeah.
It's just the minority that's through jealousy or his critics. But the pigeon fancy in general, they have some very, very good pigeons over there. Collectively, they got a little bit to learn. I find that in the main, the American pigeon fanciers leave a little bit to be desired when it comes to management. They just haven't got that necessary knowledge of how to handle the pigeons and how to get the best out of them.
Do you think that little extra went when Bill Pensum died? Do you think they needed the tutor again?
I think had Bill Pensum been around today and still been in America to advise these people, I think it would be beneficial to them to have had Bill around to show them how to manage a kit and how to fly them and get collective performance. Individually, they've got some fantastic pigeons, but collectively, what I find, there's much to be desired. And bear in mind, I've just come back from America and British Columbia now.
How long did you spend out there?
44 kits of pigeons.
How long was you out there, Bill?
So I am in a position to make a comment on this.
Out of the 44 kits, what was the ratio of good and bad, in your opinion?
More bad than good.
More bad than good?
Yeah.
What do you put this down to? Lack of dedication, do you think?
Well, dedication comes into it, yes, but knowledge. One of the biggest handicaps the American fanciers got, the enthusiasm there, but the big handicap in as much, as far as I can see, we got too many do-gooders over there that seem to write at great length. They're fantastic writers, but they can only write about it, they can't show people. What the American people are looking for is the guidance in as much as people to show.
It's been said in books and by people who have visited here that the Americans are hung up on pedigrees. Is there any truth in this?
Well, they are bogged down on pedigrees, a lot of them are.
Yeah.
But as I say to these people when I was over there, pedigrees are very important. I wouldn't breed up a pigeon that hasn't got a pedigree. But I don't go shouting about pedigrees and showing people pedigrees of certain pigeons in the background. To me, the pedigree of the breeder is much more important than the paper pedigree of the pigeon.
So obviously the pigeon comes first, the pedigree second. Is that what you honestly think?
Well, the pigeons, in some cases the pigeons come first, but in some cases you go to lofts and they bring out a bunch of photographs and a bunch of pedigrees, and all they're concerned about is going back generations to pigeons that primarily, or supposedly, first of all, came from Pensum, or in certain cases, direct from England. Now, the pigeons direct from England are so far removed and they've been through so many hands and mated from so many different pairs, they should now be talking about what their own capabilities are and what they are capable of producing, thereby putting the pigeons into the air and the bloody paper pedigrees away in the drawer and just keeping them for reference and let the pigeons do the talking for them.
Okay, fine. It's your ideal performer, is it?
This is what I would consider this is my ideal performer. It's a bronze hen bred in 1985.
Yeah.
This pigeon was flown for 2 years before I used it in the stock pen last year. She come out of outstanding parents, a self-red checker hen and a black mottle cock. Unfortunately, both these pigeons were stolen in 1985. Possibly the black mottle cock was one of the best pigeons I ever bred. His ring number was 8111.
Yeah.
This was a late hatch in 85, and she was an outstanding pigeon when she was about 12 months old, and she maintained that quality until 87 when I put her in the stock.
Could I have a close-up, please? Could you span the wing, please, just to show what conformation it is?
Well, it's good quality wing. It's got strength of quill, which is important, and it's got plenty of good webbing on it. I consider that's a good wing, and it's got plenty of good cover, secondary feather. And the feathers are strong.
How about the eye sign? Do you follow eye sign, or...?
Well, eye sign, to me, I've seen so many people talk about eye sign, and then in effect, when you put the pigeons into the air, they're a load of bloody rubbish. Now, I like a good eye on my stock birds, and this is a lovely yellow eye, and it's one I've got a preference for, the yellow eye. I don't condemn odd-eyed pigeons or bull-eyed pigeons, but I have got a preference for yellow-eyed pigeons.
How about for breeding purposes? Is it strictly performance and pedigree?
Well, this pigeon, I bred off this pigeon in 87, and this pigeon was 2 years old then, she's now 3, but she did produce her own type, her own quality, and her own sort of pigeon. The pigeon produced pigeons every bit as good as herself last year.
So in effect you're not too bothered about eye sign or any theory?
No, but I do like a nice eye on a pigeon.
Bright eye?
Very, very rarely do I breed off a pigeon that's bull-eyed or odd-eyed, but as I emphasise, I don't condemn them.
Okay.
I do like a nice yellow. Skidmore, he had a love of yellow-eyed pigeons. That's a typical Skidmore eye type of pigeon, that is.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's nice and short, nice and cobby, got very little to carry.
How about the keel? Do you look in?
Yes, it's what I call an apple-bodied pigeon.
Apple-bodied bird.
That's an apple-bodied pigeon.
Okay, thank you.
20 pairs a year.
20 pairs a year you breed from?
Usually I finish up with around about 100 youngsters.
When do you start breeding?
Not until February.
About February.
I mate up around about mid-February.
Uh,
And although I might mate 20 pair of pigeons up, some pigeons I would produce a quantity of youngsters off, but other pairs I might only breed 1 or 2 youngsters off.
What is your favourite mating?
Well, I've got a tendency to clash the colours. With pigeons, you get soft feather and hard feather.
Yeah.
Consequently, what I tend to do, I mate a soft feathered pigeon with a hard feathered pigeon. You usually find the lighter coloured pigeons are the soft feathered pigeons, and the darker coloured pigeons are the hard feathered pigeons. In canaries, which has got a connection with all rollers or pigeons in general, you've got the yellows and the buffs. What we refer to in the roller fancy are the hard colours and the soft colours.
Yeah.
But I do like to clash my colours.
Do you inbreed or line breed?
Oh, very much so, yes. Although basically my pigeons came from Skidmore, Pensum and Red Rose Wing down to the Mottle Cock, I would say now basically my pigeons are all in some way related because I've bred very, very close over the years.
And has any flaws in the system? Do you get any deterioration in the quality of the feather or anything?
I have bred on occasion pigeons that are deformed.
Yeah.
These identify themselves in the nest and you kill them off.
Okay.
One other point I've noticed with inbreeding, when you go very, very close, especially when you refer to brother and sister mating,
Yeah.
you can breed a pigeon that doesn't come into the roll possibly till it's 2 years old. But it usually makes a fantastic producer and a fantastic flyer. But what I've noticed in the main, this same pigeon has a very short lifespan, and you usually find them dead on the loft floor when they're 3 to 4 years old.
How about the subject of an outcross? What would you look for if you was bringing in an outcross?
Well, if I wanted an outcross, and everybody needs an outcross from time to time,
Yeah.
I would go for a pigeon of my own family, but bred in a different environment.
Do you think
I'd
that's
go
important?
out of this area to find a pigeon for necessary purposes.
So you're looking for a bird of the same source, really?
But a what?
Same source, okay. Flying boxes, do you find it an advantage over conventional methods? The V-perch, perhaps, or a compartment?
One advantage of flying boxes, I think, relates to the young birds when you first wean them.
Yeah.
If you keep them in flying boxes, you can control them better.
I think
They
so.
get used to you and they get quieter. Although I use flying boxes, I do use the open plan kit flying method, as I used to practice years ago. But I do fly from these boxes for the purpose of quietening my pigeons down and getting them used to me and getting them steady.
How many do you keep in each box on average?
About 25 in each box.
About 25. Yeah. Mixed sex, cocks and hens?
I keep them, I never separate sexes now.
Always fly them together?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Compartment on the bottom?
That's the kit of pigeons. They are primarily 1987 pigeons, and they are ready for hopefully ready for competition on Sunday.
Okay. This is Bill Barrett's flight connected to his breeding loft, and I assume there is breeding pairs. This is Bill Barrett's breeding compartment, as you can see. Bill, what are these two birds in front of us in the cage?
Well, the bronze hen is the one that I was handling earlier on. She's an outstanding pigeon. She's 3 years old. The white one is the cock, and he's 2 years old. This is the first year I've bred off the white cock, obviously, because I don't breed off a pigeon until he's 2 years old.
Yeah.
But he's an outstanding pigeon. But basically, they're very, very closely bred, and the father of the bronze was the black mottled cock, and the grandfather of the white one, again, was the mottled cock. And that's the closest of the breeding. I'm anticipating breeding some outstanding pigeons off those by virtue of the background and the pedigree.
Are these two your ideal type of rollers?
I think so. They're two outstanding pigeons in the air, but there's also what I've said before of clashing colours. You get the bronze hen, which is a hard feathered pigeon, and you get the white cock, which is a soft feathered pigeon. Yeah. And to me, colour-wise, they're an outstanding mating, and basically family-wise, they should be an outstanding mating.
On the subject of colour, do you breed for colour, or does it make no difference?
No, definitely not. I don't breed for colour at all.
It doesn't come into it?
Basically, when I mate my pigeons up, my sole purpose is to produce as good as rollers as the parents, or possibly better rollers than the parents. I'll try to improve on what I've got.
So colour doesn't mean nothing to you?
Colour doesn't really mean anything, no.
Okay. This could be the downfall of some fanciers who try to breed for looks as well as performance.
Yeah.
You do?
When people start mating for colour purposes only, you usually find that the performance in the pigeons deteriorate. Over the years, I've known a lot of fanciers that they prefer certain coloured pigeons. I mean, one fella at the Black Country years ago preferred all duns. He had a wonderful kit of coloured pigeons, all duns, mostly dun selfs and dun white wings. But it was obvious that his performance had deteriorated such a situation that he had to start getting back to the mixed coloured pigeons in order to bring the performance back into his family of pigeons. And I've found this on many occasions, that people breed for colour, they do lose the quality of performance and the regularity of it.
Okay, thank you. Compartment, as you mentioned earlier, you fly both sexes out the same compartment.
Yes, I never separate sexes, but this is one of my large flying compartments where I can fly a kit of 60 plus out of here, and I keep mixed sexes and fly them without any problem. I very rarely get problems with pigeons laying because there's a breeding condition and a flying condition, and they're very far removed. However, there's no pigeons in here at the moment because you're aware that I had 75 pigeons stolen about 4 months ago. Otherwise, I would have had a kit of 70 in here.
That's primarily the reason we're not filming any of yours in the air, which is a great pity because we have so fantastic pigeons down here, but of course some scumbag stole them, so never mind, Bill. What do you feed your birds on? Old birds and young birds?
Well, talk about your flying kits first.
Yeah.
I mean, with the old birds, when you're talking about flying, I'll keep them on a very low protein diet,
Yeah.
primarily wheat and milo. However, to keep a kit of pigeons on that diet day in and day out, week in and so forth, you're heading for tragedy. So probably about once every 2 or 3 weeks, the pigeons get a couple of days rest, and they are fed on a very high protein ration, 90% peas or maybe a few small beans.
Do you feed any additives, any tonics, vitamins?
Yes, they are given. What I usually do, I have pigeon minerals and grit, and I usually lace the grit with cod liver oil. I mix cod liver oil with the grit, then I put a few spoonfuls of minerals, so you get the 3 qualities all together, and this is given to the pigeons possibly once a week.
Okay. Young birds do.
We're talking about young birds, yes.
Yeah.
Well, from now on, I will fly a kit of young birds all through the season, obviously, from now. Those pigeons won't be fed primarily on wheat and peas. They will have a mixture of peas, wheat, milo and cut maize. I never shortchange my young birds because I believe they're going through a growing up period and they need all the protein and plenty of good food to make them grow and mature and molt properly. It's important that the young bird has a very good molt.
Do you feed different from the molt?
Yes, during the molting period, again, they have a good percentage of peas in the mixture. I never shortchange the pigeon through the molting season.
Okay.
Feather is very important, and the only one time in the year when the pigeons grow feather is during the molting season.
Okay. How about times of flying your young birds? How many times a week do you fly them?
Well, I've got a young bird kit that's been in training now for a week. I fly these, weather permitting, twice a day. And these pigeons will be flown twice a day, weather permitting now, until such times I think they are in a situation where they're flying correctly, they've got the proper wing action, they're flying at a good height, and then I'll leave them down to flying them once a day. But again, I emphasise there are occasions when your pigeons need a rest. Observation is a great teacher in this respect. Look at your pigeons and try and fathom out what's going wrong if things are not going as you would like them to go. Sometimes it needs the pigeons are burning themselves out and they want to rest.
Okay, fine. What advice would you give to any new starters?
New starters, well, what they've got to do, they've got to go around and first of all, if there's a good pigeon flyer in your area, get to know him.
Yeah.
And if you like his pigeons, ask him for a bit of help. You'll find, without exception, if you're a new fancier and you go to one of the respected pigeon fanciers, I'm sure there'll be one in your area, go to him and put yourself in his hands, providing you like the pigeons. If the pigeons are what you're looking for, put yourself in his hands and be ruled by what he says. And I've found that the pigeon fanciers in general, they like to help the newcomers.
I see. And any pet hates, any things you'd like to change if you had
I've got
powers?
my pet hates. I don't like these people that take a lot out of the fancy and put nothing back. You get people, not so much in this country, but abroad, where all they're interested in is making money. And they do make a lot of money out of pigeons, some people do. They're in the minority. They write books, they write articles, and in effect, because of their ability to write, people think they're fantastic producers of rollers. But all they do is make money. They've got cash registers instead of bloody brains.
Okay.
They take a lot out of the fancy and they don't put anything back.
Okay, thank you. 50 years' time, when everybody's dead in bed, probably, how would you like to be remembered, your epitaph in effect, to the roller fancy?
Well, hopefully I should be remembered with a bit of respect.
Yeah.
And hopefully for the benefit and the efforts I've put in to make the roller fancy that much better and producing and helping a lot of good pigeon fanciers to fly better pigeons.
Well, Bill, from what the comments we've heard of various fanciers, I'm sure that would be anyway. We've spoke to various fanciers, me and Tony, on the filming of this video, and as far as they're concerned, Walsall, a long-time fancier enthusiast for Birmingham roller. Hello, Bob.
How are you, my lad?
All right, thank you. How long have you had Birmingham rollers, Bob?
Well, I would say 99% of my life. There's only 2 years when I was a kid that I hadn't had them. But I've enjoyed my rollers, and I shall enjoy them until I pass on.
You come inside and look at your birds, please, Bob.
Yes, you can come and have a look at my stock birds. They're in here.
Okay, fine.
Plenty.
This section here is your stock loft, Bob.
Yes, these are me. I usually make 20 pair up,
20 pairs, yeah.
and those are 20 doxies. It's I've got one or two of them closed up now because I've fetching my birds out gradually as I've bred nearly 100 youngsters.
100 young birds.
I'm on my last 20 or 18 rings, so I'll finish those up in a few days' time.
Can you show me your best stock bird in here, please?
My best stock bird?
Yes, your best stock bird. Is she your best stock bird, is it?
Is 1972 pigeon.
A 1972 pigeon?
1972.
When you was a flying him, how far did you roll?
Well, this pigeon won the 1979 single bird fly in the Supreme Roll in 1979.
Yeah.
When Ron Adams judged the birds, and Ron is now mortgage judging a roller, and he said one of the finest rollers he's ever seen in his life.
Span the wing, please.
Eh?
Span the wing.
Span the wing?
Yes. Do you look for anything on the wing theory, or eyesight theory?
No idea. No, I've never bothered about odd eyes, bull eyes, short beak, long beaks, flatheads. What I'm concerned about is the roll.
Yeah, the quality.
The quality of the roll, not anything else. So we'll see if he's all right in his mouth. Beautiful.
Okay.
He's feeding a pair of youngsters. And as I say, I've bred 5 youngsters off him this year.
Yeah.
But I usually foster the youngsters out because of his age. 72.
Okay, right, thank you.
Spangled.
What's this bird is off the one you first handled?
Yes, it's a son off the black little cock.
Yeah.
Mind you, I've got sons and daughters off him. But
Yeah.
this is an extraordinary good cock.
Yeah.
He breeds good pigeons, and he rolls as good as his father.
On the subject of breeding, what methods do you use? Do you inbreed or line breed?
I line breed, I don't inbreed
You don't?
whatsoever.
You don't inbreed?
When I get too close, I bring another hen into my loft.
Yeah.
And I move the hen round the loft to the my 4 dominant cocks. I've got 4 dominant cocks,
Yeah.
and I use the hen to all the cocks. I introduced a hen this time off John Thompson.
Yeah.
And
Okay, fine.
I
Tell me, Bob, what is your ideal mating?
Well, I reckon first and second cousins.
First and second cousin?
Yes. Half brother and half sister. You know, I haven't had much success with that breeding, but I get pretty well of results if I use cousins. This is why I like a family of pigeons. I've only got 4 dominant cocks. Every cock in here is bred either from those 4 cocks, and the hens are bred from the 4 cocks. And then I mix them in and out. Cousin mating is an ideal mating.
Okay, thank you. In front of us, Bob, this is your flying section, is it?
These are the flying sections I fly my
Yeah.
birds from.
And these are flying boxes?
They fly in boxes.
Yeah.
I mean, I can fly. So I've got another loft next door. I can fly 6 teams of pigeons.
Yeah.
These are all youngsters.
Are they your old birds in these boxes? Are they mixed sex, cocks and hens?
Well, in the other department, I fly my cocks. I put my cocks in one lot part and the hens in the other.
Yeah.
But with the youngsters, I just let them mess about.
How many do you fly in a compartment each box?
20 usually.
20 normally.
The idea is that if you've got them flying about the loft all day, they're using all their energy up.
Yeah.
And they reserve their energy till they come out to fly.
Yeah.
So the obvious thing is keep them contented on the poles on there, and when you get them out in the air, they'll perform.
I see. Okay, fine. Can we have a look at your other compartment, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. This compartment here, these are your old birds, are they?
Yes, all yearlings.
All yearlings, is top
Yes,
one?
they're all yearlings from last year.
Could you show me one of your best birds, please?
One of the best.
Yes, in this compartment. Your birds, is it your
Yes,
old?
I think you'll enjoy seeing him roll. He's a red saddle,
Yeah.
and he's a very, very good quality roller.
How deep is he roll on average?
I should say rolls about 6 to 8 yards.
6 to 8 yards.
And I've got a son here off the black grizzle. This is bred off the black grizzle, paired to a mealy hen. But this is a very good pigeon.
Yeah. What are they fed on, your old birds?
The old birds?
Yeah.
But you see, when I breed, they have the very best. When I fly, they have the worst. All I feed them on is wheat and milo.
Wheat and milo.
Never peas or any seed. I don't put any tonics or anything in the water. I just give them a bit of grit occasionally. They take it out of the garden, most of it. But the idea is that if you're feeding them tonics and you're boosting them up, they're going to fly for a long time and they're going to perform.
Yeah.
The bulk of the feed is wheat and milo.
And how many times a week do you fly them, your old birds?
Well, with the old birds, I like to fly them about every 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
If you fly them every day, I had the problem when I was breaking my youngsters in. I had to fly my old ones every day, breaking the youngsters in, and they were doing 3 hours. Of course, you know, 3 hours performance out of your pigeon, you can only get so much performance, so that thank goodness I've got my youngsters broke in and I can fly them every other day or every...
How many times a week or a day do you fly young birds?
Oh, I fly my young birds twice a day.
Twice young birds?
Yes, I fled them this morning, the one with the 2 teams.
Yeah.
And I shall fly them again this afternoon.
How about their diet? Is their diet the same as
their diet is exactly the same, wheat and milo.
Wheat and milo for young birds as well?
Yes.
These are the kitty yearlings you're going to fly for us?
All 12 months old.
Yeah.
And these are pigeons I fed in competition last year as youngsters.
Yeah. You're going to put them out for us now?
I beg your pardon?
You're going to fly them now for us?
I'm going to fly them now.
Okay, fine, thank you. Whoosh. It's a deep one.
That's the best one. This one's still in the pen. Come on here, get out of it. Come on. I get some on you, no good.
Yeah. You go? You don't?
No, I get together.
So it's performance mainly?
Always performance.
Always performance. That was a nice roll. What colour was that one, Tony? Or Bob?
I can't pick the colour off from you. Can you, Bob?
It's a bit, they're going a bit too far in. I think we'll shut off for a moment. Like that was a nice break. Again, you can't see truly right through this viewfinder.
Oh, that's too far away.
Yeah. We're just passing the flying pills now, aren't we?
They come in there now. The pigeon that makes my stock lot is a pigeon that's never made a mistake. When I say a mistake, I can forgive a pigeon rolling down when I loose it out.
Yeah.
But I can't forgive a pigeon rolling down when they're coming into land.
Would you breed off a roll down?
I don't breed off roll down.
You don't breed off roll down?
I've got plenty of pigeons to pick from, and I can be very selective.
Have you ever bred off a non-roller, Bob?
Yes, would you breed off a non-roller?
I've never bred off a non-roller, yes.
Thank you. And you're an elderly gentleman, obviously. Since the early days and up to the present, 1988, have the birds got better in your opinion?
They're definitely better now than they were 20 years ago and 10 years ago.
They are?
You breed from the finest rollers and you produce the better rollers.
And how about the fanciers? Have they got better since the pre-war days?
Well, I would say definitely, yes. The fanciers of today, there's not so many of them as there was 20 or 30 years ago. But we've got some excellent fanciers all around England.
That's it. Thank you. Tell me, Bob, you've been abroad to South Africa, Ireland and various places. What are their standards abroad as compared to English standards?
Well, I'm going back to 1976, 75, when South Africans came over here and they bought some pigeons from me. And the following year, I was invited to go to South Africa.
Yeah.
I paid all my expenses. And I toured the area looking for rollers, and they were in the small minority, because they were flying for depth of roll. I went to see the champion fly who'd roll for 25 seconds. And when he got up in the blue, he came down like a paper bag.
So in other words, it was a rubbish.
It was rubbish.
Yeah.
And I said to the bloke that owned it, if I'd have had that pigeon, I said, pull his head off and net him. I said, that's all he's good for.
But then it was the champion.
He was the champion of South Africa.
In
He was
Britain.
just like a paper bag coming down, changing wings, that's slow. And it took him 25 seconds to come down to almost the ground, and then he just pulled out and fled round and went back up again.
But to an Englishman, that would be rubbish.
Well, this is what we try to impress on them. I impress on them. And as I say, I went twice in 4 years or 3 years, and we got them to fly the English way of flying, and they must have now some fantastic rollers. I hear from different fanciers, and they have competitions fled the same way as we fly in England. And with the pigeons they had from myself, Ernie Stratford, I think Ollie Harris sent some there. I think you'll find that they've got some fantastic pigeons out in South Africa.
Okay, thank you. A new starter or a novice?
Well, I would say this. If you've got boys and young chaps interested in the roller fancy, it's no good going and buying them from the pet shop or buying them from every Tom, Dick and Harry. The only advice I could give to anyone is to buy a couple of 3 pair or a couple of pair from a reputable fancier, breed with them, and if they suit him, then buy another couple of pair from him, and then build a family of pigeons up of your own.
Okay.
It's no good buying them from here, there and everywhere, else you get nowhere.
Okay, thank you. If you had your way and you could change things, what would you like to see changed in the sport, in your rules or anything like that?
I should like to see one standard of rules all over the country.
Yeah.
So that when you're flying in any club, you've still got the same standard as they use in the national.
So to be universal standard throughout each club?
There should be a universal standard for every club and every roller club in England. I mean,
what is your ideal depth of a roller? How far would you like them to roll?
and I like to see them come 5, 10, 15 and 20 yards.
So you like the deep rollers in preference?
Yes, but when you're flying in competition, I've had to fetch very deep ones out,
yeah,
because they spend more time out of the kits than in the kits. So you obviously you don't want short rollers, you want deep rollers, but pigeons just can get back to the kits in a very quick space of time.
Okay, right.
Eventually.
That was one I just got on. What colour was that one?
Yeah.
And again, good individual. Got that one. What is
Yes, they are. Out of stock. But I like to fetch my stock birds out. This proves to me whether they're good stock pigeons, because if they roll down and kill themselves, I'm disappointed.
Yes, I
The
can
pigeons
imagine.
I put into stock, I can guarantee, will not roll down and kill themselves.
Well, I think that's about it for now. Me and Tony have had a great time here.
Yeah.
All I can say is thank you very much. lots of nothing out there. Go on. Yes. Ooh, about what? 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Ah. Bit of something there. Ooh. Look at that one. That's a good one. Okay, a few more individuals. The short round will come through them just. Oh, that was. You see them come? There's another couple through them. Under George. Another couple here. Yeah. Yeah. Did you get that break in?
Yeah.
A few good individuals here, but there's a couple of nice ones. That was a good one. Was there a black one? A little black in, was it? Yeah. I think that was my little black in. It's only short roller, but it's pretty decent. Oh, another couple of individuals, was there? Having to wait then, do you? Couple more individuals. One down, safely home. And I think this will just about wrap up for now.